So it looks like the discussion is continuing online about the current state of crowdfunding in comic books, whether that be independent, Comicsgate, or superstars like, say, Sean Gordon Murphy from DC entering into the space. And in my opinion, crowdfunding is the future of comic books for three reasons: economics, competition, and innovation. So from an economic standpoint, the way I see it, the mainstream comic book industry hinges on DC and Marvel being in business. And the only reason they're in business today is because they're subsidized by parent companies. And from what I've heard, they're not doing fantastically. I don't know if they're dying, but it's definitely not what I would call a thriving industry. And especially if you look at it in terms of for professionals, there's very few big superstars that I can think of that are still constantly working in the mainstream compared to when I was a kid, when there were real superstars floating around. And it was commonly understood that those guys were making serious money. I don't know how many big name pros are making serious money out of comic books in 2020 in the mainstream. It just feels to me like the direct market, the old way of doing things, having a huge publishing company, is just in the coming years going to become more and more a old way of doing things and not economically viable. In addition to that, the way Diamond Distribution operates, the way shops buy books off them, the way the sales that are listed don't actually reflect sales to readers, the way a lot of these titles feel like they're completely insulated from any consequences regarding the popularity of the book. It just seems like it's a real closed system, one that stifles true competition between titles and creators, where as long as you're the big new release from one of the main two companies, that's the book that's going to be pushed regardless of whether or not it sells. It shouldn't be a normal thing that you end up with huge stacks of unsold comics in a shop when that's supposedly the big release of the month. It all just appears so artificial. Contrast that to a system where you're accountable directly to the end user, to the reader. In a system where creative teams compete directly for customers and backers, that to me seems like a system where you're going to get the most innovation, and with each new campaign that's released, the quality of the art and the writing and the production is going to be continuously ratcheted up as everyone competes directly for those backers. There's nothing to insulate them. There's no fallback. If you don't appeal to readers, you're done for. So therefore, if you want to continue crowdfunding comics, you're going to have to figure out a way to get those readers to back. Whether that's better art, more compelling story, more interesting character designs, a bigger profile on social media, on YouTube and Twitter. I think in the coming years, crowdfunding is where we're going to see all the innovation happening in comic books. You know, one of the breakout hits of last year has been Narwhal with his Earthbound book. And anyone who looks at it, you're probably not going to get it on first glance. But if you listen to everyone who's read it, people are calling it a masterpiece. Do you think a company like DC or Marvel would have taken a chance on a book like that? The only way something like that is going to exist is in a space where creators get themselves out there independently and appeal directly to readers. So yeah, you might think I'm crazy because at the moment, crowdfunded comics are expensive. There's a problem with shipping. There's a huge problem with delays. There's the risk of books not being delivered as promised, being delivered a year or more late. And that's all valid criticism right now. But as competition increases, and we're already seeing that happen, if you look at Indiegogo now, compare that to what it was like in February 2019. It's a whole new kettle of fish, and I think it's only, as people see more and more campaigns succeed, it's only going to get tougher and tougher. The competition is going to get stiffer and stiffer, and the books are going to get better and better. And not just the quality, but the way the whole things are handled. Reputation is going to be a massive factor in 2020 and moving forward, I think. People who can deliver good books, quality books, on time is going to be a real deciding factor. So all that stuff, all the stuff that are issues now that everyone understands are problems that need to be addressed. I think if there's any system that can figure that out, is a free market of highly competitive, independent creators. The big two, you know, they're big companies, and they're not answerable to you out there, the readers and the fans. They're answerable to their parent companies. If you think about it, they're like big ships out on the ocean. The conditions on the seas have changed, and they're changing rapidly. But you know, the big boat, it's slow to turn. It's not going to be able to weave and turn in a way that a small, nimble, independent crowdfunding creative team will be able to. Will be able to react to market demands. And I think that's only going to be exaggerated as we go forward. So, yeah, a lot of people will look at and are looking at, you know, the numbers and the figures, what's been happening, what's changing. But I think if you just look at the raw principle of a highly competitive free market system of small, independent, creator-owned properties competing in a market that's increasingly looking to online solutions for their entertainment, then I think if I had to put my money on where the future of comic book lies, it would be with crowdfunding. You know, if I was a guy making $100,000 in comics, whether I'm an artist or a writer or whatever, and someone asked me what I'm going to be doing in 10 years, I wouldn't see much future staying in an industry that seems to be slowly shrinking and becoming increasingly less innovative, increasingly resorting to nonsense tactics to get more sales, race to the bottom tactics of continuous reboots. What's the innovations? What innovations are we seeing coming out of Marvel in 2020? She-Hulk looks like a block of cheese, and Wolverine and Spider-Man are bisexual. Well, great work, guys. That's really what the audience wants, and that's really pushing the medium of storytelling forward. No. It's the people who are out there who are hungry, whether they be new or established pros, who are wanting to do the kind of work that they always dreamed of, but it was never on the cards for them while they're attached to a multinational corporation. So yeah, anyway, these are just some thoughts floating around in my head. Tell me what you think in the comments, and remember to subscribe. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Hi, I'm Michael Bancroft, writer and artist of The Lucent. Going on 5 years now, I've been passionately working on my magnum opus, a fantasy graphic novel that blurs the line between dreams and reality. My first book in the series, Waking Dream, introduces readers to the mysterious world of the Lucent, a place that on the surface looks not too dissimilar from the world you know, but where nothing is quite as it seems. It's a place where powerful enemies hide in plain sight, fighting ancient battles for control of the future. Here we meet Ella Forsyth, a young woman who by all accounts appears to be living a low-key life. But in her dreams, she's hiding a secret with the power to turn everything we know upside down. Sign up now to be notified by email when this campaign goes live, and you'll receive an exclusive postcard if you go on to back the book. For regular updates, follow me on Twitter at The Lucent Comic. Together, we can create something that's truly memorable. See you at launch.